What's up, fellas? Let me know if y'all can see and hear everything okay. We all know what Kenny was doing over the weekend. Thanks, Kenny. All right. So, we've got the parts in to fix the PC-21 and get the motor and all that stuff back on and get this thing back flying again. So I'm excited. This came in. It actually came in on Wednesday while I was driving down to Florida, and if I had waited a little bit longer, I could have snagged this from the FedEx guy and brought this plane with me, but that's fine. So before we, I did, Jeff. So before we get started, throwing the speed control and the motor and the propeller back on the PC-21, I obviously have to talk a little bit about the Mary Boozer Toys for Tots Fly-In over the weekend at the Imperial RC Club down in Mulberry, Florida. I know, George, it's really awesome. Uh-oh, Shadow. That doesn't sound good. Unless it was $6,000 spent on something awesome. Wait, what? The camera's fuzzy? What happened? Hold on. It's not supposed to be fuzzy. Maybe it's your phone. Dang it, man. So, anyway, the Mary Boozer Fly-In over the weekend was awesome, guys. We had a ton of fun. We got to meet a whole lot of people. We got to meet the Mary Boozers, Wesley and Lori. We hung out with Kenny. We hung out with Mike SSI. We hung out with Gav Street. We hung out with Jeff in Lower Alabama. We hung out with Rich Baker, the RC Informer. The folks at Imperial RC Club. I think the gentleman's name is Jerry. Awesome guy. Awesome guy. Oh. So, Amy's phone is broke a little bit. So, we need to get her her phone screen fixed. Matt M and his dad were there. LJ Hobbies was there. You know, we had a great time. Just a great time. You know, Matt M and I mean, I can't remember your dad's name, and I'm sorry, but they had some awesome planes with them. I think they had, you know, with maybe one or two exceptions, I don't think they had an A4, but I want to say they had like every other generation of Blue Angels plane, which was awesome to see. And they painted, they just immaculate paint jobs across the board. They had an F4 that was absolutely stunning. It was a great looking plane. And I think they ended up winning Best Jet with that F4. I mean, it was a beautiful plane. What is up? Jeff's Custom RC. Gavin, I don't have to say anything about your F-18's reversed ailerons because you just did, fool. So, yeah, Gav Street RC, you know, had a bit of a mishap, and I know that we can all sympathize with him. You know, he's young, he's just getting started in RC. He had a mishap of setting up reverse ailerons on his F-18, and it took a little bit of a tumble down the runway. I mean, and we told him while we were there, look, we've all done it, man. We've all done it. Don't feel bad about that at all, man. I know it sucks, you know, when it's a pretty new plane and you get it set up, but look, here's the deal, man. That's when it's going to happen. It's usually always going to be a brand new plane that you do it to, and it sucks. But it's something that happens, and the good news is that it usually only happens once. You become a lot more diligent after it happens to you. But like I said, man, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. At some point, you're going to take off with reversed ailerons, and you're going to try to, you know, you're going to lift up and you're going to try to roll, you know, in your case, try to roll to the left. The plane starts going right, so you correct more to the left and it just rolls more to the right. It's a classic thing, and the next time you'll be the one laughing because now it's happened to you. And man, it sucks, like I said, but don't sweat it, brother. You're gonna be all right. So yeah, Shadow Ops, that is an absolute fact. Rich M, there is Matt M's dad. Again, beautiful work on all of your Blue Angels. You know, I can't wait to see, you know, when you guys have the completed legacy of every warbird and every jet that has flown with the Blue Angels over the years. Your collection right now is fantastic, and it was awesome. So yeah, you know, Gavin had a little bit of a mishap. Kenny had a little bit of a mishap with his nighttime flex RV8. I had a little bit of a mishap with my salvaged V900. I was coming down the runway, you know, doing a high-speed pass over the runway. I took a left bank, and I made the bank angle was a little too wide, and I ended up running it into some trees on the far side of the field. And I didn't think I took it that wide. I thought I was going to be on the inside of the trees because I think I was on like my third circuit or fourth circuit around the field, and I kept clearing them, you know, but that one was a little too wide. And I'll tell you, when it hit the trees, it smacked the trees. You could hear it crack into the trees, and it looked like it got blown out of a shotgun on the other side. Just woof, you know, nothing but foam bits everywhere. I think they recovered like a small bit of the back of the fuselage and maybe like the right or left wing. Yeah, Jeff, I smacked the crap out of them. I smacked the crap out of those trees. And you know, fortunately, it's not my first run-in with you know, with crashing a plane, so I took it a little more lightheartedly than Gavin did. But you know, like I said, Gavin, don't sweat it, brother. You're gonna be all right. It's part of the hobby, man. And you know, with a few parts, a few spare parts, you'll be able to get that F-18 back up and flying again. And that's one of those mistakes that you only make once. And you know, the next time you see it, you're gonna know exactly what happened. And you know, if you remember, I mean, I was there at the pilot station when that happened, and I felt bad afterwards because you took it kind of hard, and you know, we won't get into that, but I remember saying like a smart ass, like, dude, did you reverse the ailerons? Because to me, it's funny. And I know that, you know, you didn't think it was funny at the time. And I hope that you're, you know, that you're not too upset with those of us who've been there and done that and maybe had a bit more of a candid response than you did, dude. And, and that would have been pretty funny too. Yep. So, yeah, I blew the V900 to shreds. We didn't get anything back, you know, so I lost the plane. I had a 4S 2200 50C Smart Pack in there. That's gone forever. I'm sure that, some squirrel or something is enjoying a lithium snack right about now. He's going to be high as hell, for the next week. Kenny, it was funny. So we've got some video footage, and Kenny was spotting for me, so shame on you, Kenny. You should. That's low enough. So Kenny should have been telling me, like, don't take it so wide, pull up. But, Kenny's a terrible spotter, and the only thing that he was doing was laughing. Like, it didn't even get through the trees. Like, I think as soon as it brushed against the first leaf, all you can hear in the video is Kenny laughing. Like, what a butthole. Carlos, hello to you and the family. So Gapstreet, I don't know what it is, man. I just don't. I'll fly inverted on the downwind leg. I don't like flying inverted over the runway. I don't know what it is. It's something that I just need to just do, I guess. But what do you do, man? It's just one of those things that I don't like doing. I don't know why. I don't like flying low over the runway. I don't like flying inverted over the runway. But on the downwind leg, I'll fly inverted the whole downwind leg. And I'll even be inverted and roll into the base leg inverted and then roll it over so I can be, belly down on the downwind leg. I don't know what it is. It's just how I fly, man. It's just how I fly. So the other thing that happened that I was, I'll tell you, I was pretty surprised. Now, I did not fly it Saturday because LJ Hobby Life, he, it really did. It exploded into nothing. It just shredded. That poor V900, there was not much left. Just pieces. So, what's up, Bray? Good to see you, brother. So, what else? Oh, what I was going to tell you. The MiG-29, Arrow's MiG-29. So that thing, I worked on it. That thing I brought home in like 20 pieces. The whole front nose is nothing but like filler and Gorilla Glue. The whole thing is held together by fairy dust and magic. So, yeah, the carbon rods were good. And I had, when I got over to the Boozers on Wednesday, we didn't mess with it Wednesday, but on Thursday, we got the rest of it put together, got it ready to fly, got all the electronics and everything hooked back up, and I had every intention of just dumping the plane in the event that it did not fly very well. But when LJ Hobby Life, he put in 3 planes like consecutively. Maybe not consecutively, but he put in one, flew another, put in another one, and then put in another one. All 3 jets, all 3 pretty new. I mean, it was pretty devastating. But he ended up winning the best crash on day one. You know, with the combination of all three crashes, I knew that there was no way that I was going to beat that. So on Sunday, I brought out the MiG-29, and surprisingly, it flies great. Even with all of the damage that was done to it, you know, all of the repair work, I mean, it flew awesome. The only thing that it did, you know, was it rolled to the left just a little, and I think 4 clicks of right trim was enough to have that thing flying nice and straight. You know, I remembered from previous, you know, how much down elevator I had to have to get it to fly without using any pitch trim. So it needed 0 clicks of pitch, a few clicks of right roll trim, or right aileron trim, and that thing was flying straight and true. I couldn't believe it because the nose is kind of wonky, but that plane flies beautiful. I was really surprised at how well it flies, you know, considering the amount of damage that was done to it in the wreck. And man, I'm happy. Yeah, glue makes them fly better, apparently. That thing flew great. You know, and the first flight, you know, I brought it in, greased the landing. The second flight, I brought it in, and the way they have the runway there at Imperial, and I mean, it was my fault. You know, I should have had it more centered up on the runway. But the second runway, I put it down on the pavement, and they've got like a crosswind runway and a main runway, and I ended up hitting like a patch of grass, and it popped the nose and broke just the tip of the nose off. But other than that, the plane was fantastic. It flew great, and I was really pleased with it. I brought my Avanti out. That thing always flies fantastic, and this weekend was no exception. The one that I took out that I haven't flown in a while, and I don't know why, because it's a beautiful plane and it flies awesome. I brought out my Commander MPD, and that thing was as fantastic as I remember. That's still one of my favorite planes to fly. The Commander MPD. I still don't know why they discontinued it, because to me it's one of the better handling prop planes that E-flite ever made or ever put their name on. So you know, hopefully, yeah, that's true. RC Informer did the exact same thing. On his last flight with the MiG-29, he hit a patch, maybe the same patch of grass, and it dug in and busted the nose cone off the exact same way mine busted off. So I don't feel bad. Yeah, that's true. You know, Mitchell Farley and his brother, they were out flying the Bigfoot and tried to take out my Commander with the Bigfoot. So you know, it was fun though, and I think I was flying slow at the time. But I'll tell you, this Commander, I've been flying it on 4S ever since I did the conversion, and I mean, that thing is zippy. It is zippy on 4S. I mean, by far, it was not the fastest plane there at all. In fact, I think the fastest plane there was clocked. What was that thing? Was it a Renegade? Is that the name of the plane? It's a crazy looking flying wing, you know, with a big old vertical stab on it. I mean, that thing was quick, and I think it was clocked at like 168 or something like that. Was it 153? I thought it was faster than 150. I thought it was in the 160s. So Captain Photon, we ended up, Outlaw. We ended up leaving yesterday at like 3 o'clock, and it was just pretty hectic as we were getting towards the end. By the time we got home to the Boozer's house, we were just packing up stuff, and it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So yeah, that Outlaw was pretty awesome. Yeah, and we did fly a lot more on Sunday. I'll tell you, the weather Friday and Sunday or Saturday was a little iffy all day. You could get some flying in, but you had like tiny windows, of maybe 20 minutes where you could go get a couple of flights in, and then it turned doo-doo again. And the wind was just horrible both days. On Sunday, the sun came out, the wind stopped blowing, and all of us were just, putting planes up. There were 4 or 5 planes up in the sky all day. As soon as one guy would come down, somebody else would go up. So Sunday was awesome. Sunday was awesome. Yeah, Saturday was a bummer, man. Yeah, Joseph Youngblood, for sure, man. That was a fast plane. And Wesley was flying it. So Matt and Rich M had the V1200, which, by the way, they purchased with the $225 that Matt M won on last month's, this month's virtual fly-in with the knife edge competition. So congratulations again to Matt M for winning the knife edge competition on the virtual fly-in and winning the $225 prize from all the donations that came in that night. And it's a winner-take-all deal. And remember that I believe our next one, let me check my calendar, but I do believe that, let's see, it may not be. Yeah, so it's not next week, because next week is November 30th. So it's going to end up being December 7th. December 7th will be our virtual fly-in for the month of December. And remember it's guaranteed, it's a winner-take-all competition. Our next competition is going to be Rolling Harriers in Real Flight 9. So get practiced up. Guaranteed to win a $25 gift certificate from Horizon Hobby. And any donations that we get via PayPal that night go on to the winner's pool, and the winner takes all. And the people that are donating the money are the ones who decide who wins. So I think it's an awesome thing for the channel. I think it's an awesome thing for Real Flight. For us to be able to have fun and fly together even when we can't get together, and put on some friendly competition and put up a little bit of a wager, and see who can come out on top. So I've really enjoyed doing it, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it and enjoyed watching. And this December 7th, the Rolling Harrier, I always enjoy that maneuver and people that can do it well. So, you never know how the audience is going to judge the winner, but they always judge very harshly, which is what I expect. And that's awesome. Yeah, Gav Street, I did. So that is something else. Yes, absolutely. Thank you to Lori and Wesley Boozer. So Wesley Miller, Lori Miller, Chuck, who you guys know as Papa Boozer. They were fabulous hosts all weekend. Where Papa had his RV out there, and it's a beautiful RV. It was able to accommodate all of us. And I mean, you just couldn't have asked for better accommodations and better hosts, making sure that we didn't go hungry, that we didn't, have to worry about where we were going to lay our heads at night, that we didn't freeze or get rained on. It was just a great, great weekend overall. And they're super, super people. So even though they're not in here right now, I don't think, be sure to let everybody know that Wes and Lori and Papa are just three of the nicest people that you'll ever meet, man. That you'll ever meet. And you know what? Kenny is pretty dang cool too. He's only like 3'8", but what a cool guy, man. It never bothered me, having to stand behind Kenny and fly my plane because I could just see right over him. Roach Coach, hello, sir. So, it is 8:30. Bully. That's funny. So, the other thing that is awesome about Kenny, and it's something that I take a little bit of pride in myself, is being able to take a jab in stride and not get upset about it. What just a great guy. He rolls with the punches all day. I mean, you can make fun of him, but be warned, I mean, he's gonna make fun of you too. But man, what just a fun weekend, and just fun people overall to be hanging out with. It was just a great weekend. Gas Street, awesome, man. And I'm glad you're doing that. I know that you were talking about throwing the F-18 away. I'm so glad that you're going to fix it. That's good news. That's good news. I'm glad that you're going that route, because it really wasn't that bad. It's not nearly as bad as it looked. The parts are nowhere near as expensive as replacing the entire airframe. And, I think that once you get it tuned up right, and you get it going, and something else that I can do, since you're going to have it going in 2 weeks, is because you don't, I'm assuming, Gavin, that you don't have a programming cable for your AR636. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah. So Gavin, what I'm going to do for you is I am going to program an AR636 receiver for you and send it out your way. So shoot me an email. Where's my mouse? I can't find the mouse. All right, Gavin, shoot me an email to rcairmarshal@gmail.com, and I am going to program an AR636 for you with the correct F-18 programming in it, and I'll shoot you. I'll mail that to you, and if you want the AR636 that was in your F-18, you can mail that one to me, and we'll call it even Steven. How's that sound? What's up, Jermaine? Airvexed, I can actually do that really easy. So yeah, we can do that. Oh, you gave your old receiver to Steve? Yeah, no problem, man. So don't worry about it. I will still send you an AR636, and I will program it where the AS3X switch has an safe select mode, a AS3X mode, and a gyro off mode. So if you don't want to fly with the gyro, you can actually turn it off. Typically when you buy them from eFlight, it's going to be either safe select or AS3X enabled all the time. I will send it to you programmed where you've got a gyro off mode where you do not have to run it with a gyro at all. You know, so if you find out that you don't like the gyro, you can just turn it off, man. So apparently, according to Papa Boozer, I don't snore that loud. My poor wife just has really sensitive ears. But you know who does snore really loud and sounded like he was cutting down the entire Sherwood Forest? Was frickin' Mitchell Farley. Yeah, cool, Gavin. I will get you hooked up, my man. We will get you an AR636 that is programmed for the F-18 with some special flight mode functionality that will actually allow you to turn safe select off. And that'll be cool. All right. So for those of you that are kind of paying attention to, you know, the things that are going on while I'm talking, I'm reading the chat and, you know, kind of working on getting this prop adapter, you know, nice and guten tight on to this motor. And, you know, so I'm getting all the stuff ready to get the PC-21 back in the air again. We got a new prop adapter that is not warped, and I'm just putting it together while we talk to you guys. What are you talking about? Look, as wild as some of you guys may think that I am, I was one of the more tame folks on a submarine. There were a lot more crazy people, much crazier than me, on every submarine ever. Uh-oh. Yep, so with this guy, you have to attach the ESC and just kind of drop the whole thing, motor mount and all, down into the motor cavity and into the fuse, which is a little weird, but hey, that's how it is. No, Jeff, so when I got the new fuse for the PC-21, so I needed to get a new fuselage to repair the crash damage from where I had some signal issues. At least I think that's what was going on. It sure seemed like signal issues. It may have just been sucky piloting, but I had, you know, in all the flights before that, I never crashed it, so I think I flew it all right. But yeah, I ended up having some crash damage. And when I got the new fuse, I thought that the prop adapter was straight. It sure looked straight. And as it turns out, the prop adapter was not straight at all. So when I got the motor installed and the prop adapter installed, you know, I ended up finding out that I had a warp prop adapter and had to order a prop adapter, and it didn't get here until Wednesday of last week, and that's the day that I headed down to Florida. So I ended up missing the FedEx guy by a couple hours, and that's okay. We're just gonna put it together now. I'm looking for magnets. Oh, so here's something else that was really cool. At the Fly-In, there was a $10 fee, and you had to give them a toy. And in return for your $10 fee, you could choose whatever you want. And, you know, they had a lot of different Zap products to choose from. They had bottles of Kicker. I've got a lot of Kicker here. But they had this Zap Thick CA, Slow Cure Thick CA. Which is something that I needed. Big giant 2-ounce bottles, and this stuff isn't exactly cheap. I don't think that this is foam safe, but it's fine for EPO models. These big 2-ounce bottles of this Zap Slow Cure Thick CA, they're more than $10. So you ended up getting more than you paid, and for the folks that stuck around, I mean, I think that everybody ended up winning something from the raffle drawings. You know, we had so many raffle items to give away through the generous donations from, you know, from Motion RC, from BitGo Hobby, from Zap. You know, there were a lot of sponsors from Horizon, a lot of sponsors that donated a lot of products that we were giving away. And auctioning off a few airplanes, and you know, through their generosity, we were able to, you know, to do a lot of stuff for the people that came down to the event. And I think everybody walked away with something, and I certainly assume that most of us walked away with more items, like a higher value of items than what we paid to come to the show. So that was really cool. Yeah, Jeff in Lower Alabama. And what's upstairs? My magnets? So I'll tell you, the only time, I never use medium. I only use thick CA and thin. And the only time I use thin CA is when I have a really thin gap and I need it to wick down in there. Or I'm doing like CA hinges and I have a really thin, you know, slice that I need to wick, you know, some CA down into just a really thin crevice, and the thin CA works a lot better for those types of applications than the thick CA does. But the thick is great for everything else, you know. So for bonding two parts together, you know, putting on tail pieces or anything that you need CA to attach to your model. The thick CA, especially the slow cure stuff, works a lot better, you know. But like I was saying, that's all I use is either thick or the thin CA. And the thin CA I only use for really specific applications. But generally, you know, I'm with Ray. I use the thick CA almost exclusively. Here we go. Sorry, I knew somewhere in this big bag of crap I had a couple of magnets that I use to magnetize the crap out of my screwdrivers when I need them magnetized. Yeah, I was looking for magnets.
Where would they be?
I got them. They were in the bag.
Oh. Alright.
What's so funny?
Stoke the magnet, Dave. You know how?
So, Imperial RC Works, I've had the Pilatus, and it suffered a small accident.
I don't want y'all to see my pajama pants, but hello. Hi. And I'm walking funny because my back hurts.
Yeah, my back hurts too.
Oh, no more 8-foot Christmas trees for me.
So, yeah, like I was saying, it suffered a little bit of an incident a while back, and the fuselage got busted up pretty bad. The fuselages were on back order for a while, and they just came back in stock a few weeks ago, or last week. So I got it in, and I got most of it put back together, and it was ready to go for last week's show. But my prop adapter was warped, and I did not notice that my prop adapter was warped until I got the plane put back together. And at that point, you know, it was already too late. So the new prop adapter came in while I was at the Mary Boozer Toys for Tots Fly-In down in Florida, and now I am getting the motor remounted, and we're gonna get the prop reinstalled here and get it fired up and see how she works. Make sure that the prop is spinning nice and true with the new prop adapter, and we'll try to get out to the field here in the near future and get another round of videos, because this is an awesome airplane, man. This is absolutely one of my favorites. You know, it's kind of a toss-up between this and the Commander. Those are both just fantastic, fantastic airplanes. You know, this one is, I mean, they're both very different. They don't fly the same at all. In fact, I mean, as some could imagine, because of what this plane is, you know, the PC-21 is an airplane that is used by a lot of militaries to train jet pilots. So the handling of the PC-21 is very similar to like a sport jet. It handles very well. Or, you know, even like a BAE Hawk. But, you know, at the same time, it also handles quite differently because it has, you know, it's a tractor style propulsion system. You know, it's a turboprop. You know, so this has a 5-bladed propeller, which offers up quite a bit more torque than a jet would. So, you know, it's got a lot of the flight qualities as far as handling of a jet. You know, with the kind of the benefits that come along with running a propeller. So making sure all of these screws that hold the X bracket onto the motor are nice and tight on there. We'll go ahead and get the motor mounted up. So the motor's mounted now. We've got the prop adapter on there. We'll go ahead and get the prop installed. We did get a new prop nut. And give that a little bit of a wrenching. Get that Guten tight. Oh, all right. I was like, oh no. I thought I had lost the screw for the spinner, but it's still in there. That's good. All right, we're getting that tightened up. You know, and the PC-21, you know, spinner tightens on to the front of the prop nut. You know, so it just has a screw that tightens onto the prop nut. All right, that feels pretty good. Oh man, that's looking pretty straight. All right. All right, so now it's time to see if this new prop adapter is going to give me what I need, which is a nice straight spinner. Because I'll tell you what, the spinner was all over the place before. Get the IX-12 fired up. Woo! Listen to that smart goodness. All right, folks, y'all know the deal. You shouldn't be testing your airplanes indoors with the propellers attached, but in this particular case, because the propeller was the problem, I'm obviously going to, be on the safe side and stand in the back here. But we're just going to spin that up just a little bit. So we've got it going pretty slow, but that'll still slice you. So it's definitely not as bad as it was, but it still has a little bit of a wobble. And that little bit of a wobble that's left, that could be the motor shaft. So, I mean, that kind of sucks.
Throttle cut on.
That there's still a little bit of wobble there. I mean, I can take the spinner off and see if, but you know, the propellers, I can also see there a little bit of unevenness in the, like the flight path of the propellers through the rotation. Or the propeller blades, you know, like they're not even.
Throttle cut off.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of just ever so slightly wobbling back and forth. And that could be, like I was saying, that could be the motor shaft that's bent. It's a lot better than it was with the new prop adapter. So the prop adapter was absolutely warped. But it looks like I may have a bent motor shaft too, which sucks. Yeah, no, Barry Campbell, it will go. And I have no doubt that it will fly well the way it sits. But it's gonna make some funky noise in the air. So yeah, either motor shaft, which actually, you know, the prop mounts straight to the motor. But if the motor is even slightly off, you know, where the shaft attaches to the, you know, the stator to the can. I mean, if the can is wobbling even at the tiniest amount, it gets exaggerated more and more the further out away from the motor you get. So even with a dead straight prop nut, you would still see a slight amount of wobble. And that's the only thing, is it's just going to sound a little funky in the air. It's probably going to fly great. I may go ahead and fly it like this, but at the same time, I may go ahead and get a new motor coming in as well, because it's always nice to have everything just right, especially when you're flying a plane that's got a little better performance. You know, if this was...
Landing flap, flaps up.
If this was a piece of crap plane,
Tots one.
I'd be a little less worried about it. But I actually want it to fly awesome. But yeah, that little bit of wobble that's there is not going to prevent me from flying it. You know, the amount of wobble that was there before, I was concerned. It was shaking bad, you know, and it was very noticeable and now it's just a slight wobble. And I've definitely got other airplanes with worse wobble in the prop than this. So, like you guys have suggested, you know, just send it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So balancing the prop, I don't think is going to change that, because what you can see is the blades of the prop are not spinning true with each other. They're going back and forth. And I can't tell. I'd have to take the prop and put it on my prop balancer and spin it and see if the prop blades are in proper alignment with each other. It could be nothing. I could just be, a little paranoid and trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. But it's what we do, man. We're weird with our airplanes. All of us are. Does LX have one of these? I've got some two-bladed APC props I could throw on this thing. That'd be crazy, dude. Well, one of the issues that I would have with an APC prop is this thing runs a 5-bladed prop, and I want to say, I don't know that it's printed on it. It may not be. I think it's like an 11. It's a 10-7. So for me to go with, and I don't know if you guys can see, you may be able to, you may not be able to, but this plane, as it sits straight and level, it does not offer a lot of clearance. It kind of has, like the front end sits pretty low to the ground, right? So to get the same amount of thrust with a two-bladed prop, I would need to size the prop up probably by at least 1 inch, if not 2. So instead of a 10-7-5 blade, we'd be looking at maybe like a 12-7, maybe a 12-6 two-blade prop, which would add an extra inch, and it would give me about maybe 10 millimeters of clearance. And that's just not enough, man. I need more ground clearance. So I don't think I can use a two-bladed prop effectively unless I really upped the kV of the motor. Yep. Oh. So, I mean, a 10-10 might work. A 10-10 might work because you're still upsizing the prop. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, that burned a little. So you're still upsizing the prop. So instead of going like 12 with the same pitch, upping the pitch should have the same effect. Yeah, I mean, you can't see the motor when it's mounted. I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head what the kV is, but I know that we've got some Google sleuths in here that would probably be more than willing to look up the FMS Pilatus PC-21 and tell you what the KV of the motor is that it comes with. What's up, Dave's RC? Oh, sorry, Kenny. Sorry, Kenny. It's the barking spiders, man. So, I mean, Master Air Screw makes nice props, but most of the Master Air Screws I've seen have been multi-blade. Usually for 2-blade, I use the APC electric. And, ooh. Robert Ramos. I mean, you've apparently been here before. We talk about RC planes on this YouTube channel. Oh, yeah. That's what I should do, Dave. That sounds perfect. Yeah, Dennis, I made it where you can do that if you want to. Bye-bye. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. Peace. Sorry, George, man. That shows how much I usually pay attention to the chats. Dang, Mike SSI and Kevin Trappin, thank both of you guys very much. I really appreciate it. We got some secret super chats from Mike SSI and from Kevin Trappin. And you guys are great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Every time, Dave's RC, anytime it says anything, that's what's coming out. I mean, that dude's breath is always stinky. You know what I'm saying? Daryl, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. We got all kinds of lovely folks. We got Barry Campbell. We got David Kentucky. We got... Daryl retracted his message. There was nothing wrong with that. John VHRC, good to see you. Good to see you. Well, you know, if Robert Ramos is a kid and this show is for adults, I mean, again, bye-bye. You don't have to hang out. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Kevin Trappin, it is my pleasure, sir. John Noons, what's up? Oh, of the planes I have flown, which has been closest to the MPD? Interesting question. Interesting question. Obviously not a jet, because jets don't fly anything like prop planes for the most part. Man. The MPD, the commander is... it flies... It's awesome. It flies a lot like a pattern plane. or like an iMac plane, you know, like something that was made to do really crisp, clean aerobatics. You know, nice, sharp, and when you let the stick go, it just kind of sticks it. It does amazing knife edge passes. It flies inverted with hardly any forward pressure on the stick to keep it level to the ground. You know, and when you pop it, I mean, it just sticks. You know, it's almost like it's got like a hand there. So when you let the aileron go, it doesn't like, it's not mushy at all. It's just nice, crisp, awesome maneuvering with the Commander. And even when when you pop the elevator, and I mean, you can do like box loops or box loops. So you can pop it straight up and it just sticks it and just goes, and then you can stick it again. I mean, I love the way that the Commander handles. Very axial roll rate, snappy roll rate. I mean, there's not a lot out there that flies like it, especially for the price they were selling it for at the time. You know, before they discontinued it, they were selling the Bind and Fly Commander MPD for $199, which is awesome. I'd say the closest plane that I've flown to a Commander is a P-47. But the P-47, while it flies similar, it's not as snappy. You know, the way that the Commander handles is special. That's all I can say. I mean, some people are going to like that. Some people are not going to like that. To me, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's one of the greatest handling planes that E-Flight's ever put their name on, you know? And that's a bold statement, I guess. I know there's a lot of people that like E-Flight planes, but as far as like prop planes go, and I know they've got some great warbirds, this thing is just it's a different kind of plane, and I for one really enjoyed it. And I've only met one person that said they didn't like the way the Commander flew. Most folks, you know, and the sample size is pretty small, you know, so I've probably met or talked to on here, say 40, 50 people that have Commanders and absolutely love them, and only one of those people has said, I did not like the Commander MPD and I got rid of it. So most folks really enjoy the Commander. All right. I'm looking back on the chat a little bit. Oh, Daryl. Hello from North Georgia. I keep looking at that white thing behind you, thinking you need a lava lamp. Which white thing? The wall? Oh, this? So this is an old water bottle that has a silhouette of an F-22 on it. You know, we'll get closer to the camera so y'all can see it. Oh. Can you see it? Can you dig it? But hey, a lava lamp would be pretty cool. A lava lamp and a black light. It is. It is. I don't know what it's made of, but it's made out of metal. I think it's stainless steel, like vacuum formed stainless steel. It's a good bottle. It doesn't leak. It is excellent. I like it. But I have other bottles that are more convenient. You know, where you can just pop a little button and a little straw thing comes out that you can suck on, and that's just fun. John VHRC. You can find my video for the FMS Pilatus PC-21. You can click that link and get you one from Horizon Hobby. Yep, this is an awesome plane. This is an awesome plane. If you like jets, you would love this. Or if you're a little intimidated by jets and you want something to kind of ease into it, this plane is awesome because it does fly a lot like a jet. But it's going to have, you know, great slow flight characteristics, and it goes pretty quick. It's not the fastest plane ever, but it'll get up and go probably a good 70, 80 miles an hour on 4S, which is respectable. And it's going to give you a good feel for how a jet is going to perform, you know, with the longer fuselage and shorter wingspan than you would normally find on, say, like your Warbirds or your high wing trainers or other planes like that. This is, you know, very similar to a lot of sport jets out there. And like I was saying earlier in the chat, the PC-21 is used by several international military organizations to train their jet pilots. So it's very good. Imperial RC works. That's awesome. I don't have any links for people to go and buy Radio Master. That's not true. I do have Banggood links, but I don't like sending people to Banggood. I mean, I feel bad asking people to go and buy something from Banggood. You know, anytime I buy something, we're spoiled rotten. We are spoiled rotten on the internet with people like, you know, like Horizon and frickin' Motion RC. You know, when they have something in stock and we order it, we expect it to show up in like 2 or 3 days. I don't have the heart to send somebody to buy something from Banggood, especially if it's something that they only have in their China warehouse, knowing that it's going to take them weeks to get the thing, you know, like, oh God. Yeah, I know that A-Main is selling them. They have them now available at Grayson Hobby. So Grayson Hobby is now selling the Radio Master TX16S. I had one at the show this past weekend that I was flying my UMX Turbo Timber and my quad on. You know, using the Turbo Timber was using the multi-protocol module on DSMX, and the quad was flying Crossfire with the Crossfire Micro TX transmitter module in the back. So again, great deal. It's an awesome radio for the money if you can stomach the programming or the familiarization of OpenTX. I will say that it's more complicated. If you're used to another system, if you're used to Futaba, if you're used to Tactic, if you're used to Spectrum, OpenTX doesn't program like any of those. But once you get used to it, it's a nice transmitter, and I recommend it. And if you want some Banggood links, I'll start leaving them in the video descriptions. And if you can find it in the Banggood US warehouse where it'll ship fast, feel free to use my Banggood links too. But I just don't normally give them out. See you, Dennis. Have a good night, man. It was great meeting you guys this weekend. And continue to have a safe trip home. Yep, John, I still like my Spectrums. Most of my stuff is still bound to my iX12. Oh, and I did want to tell you guys that Jermaine, I forgot them, and it wasn't until I got to Florida that, we did a quick stream. When I got to Florida last Wednesday, we were streaming for about an hour, and, Wesley had mentioned the little Fockers, and I was like, oh no! I totally forgot them. So I need y'all to make sure, beat on me like a redheaded stepchild when Jonal comes around, or if we can get Wesley back up here to Atlanta anytime, before Jonal, because I think that Motion RC may be trying to get Wes back up here to Atlanta to film some more stuff with Motion. And if they do, we will do the Little Fokker Showdown for the cameras when he comes up here, if he does. What is up, Spencer Keith? It's good to see you, man. I mean, Dana, you bring up a good point. I mean, a lot of folks buy from Banggood. They wouldn't be in business. They wouldn't be nearly as popular as they are if people weren't happy with what they're getting from them. I mean, Banggood does sell some stuff that's kind of worth the wait. Like, for example, there are things that I, kind of keep in stock, if that's the right terminology for it. Like, I like to have a supply of battery connectors. I like to have a supply of silicone wire, like silicone insulated wire for making battery leads, custom connectors. I like to have a supply of the 2S, or not 2S, but like 3S, 4S, and 6S balance connectors, as well as the terminals that go inside of those, and that kind of stuff you can get on Banggood. Excuse me. You can get on Banggood for extremely good prices, and if you know that your stock is running low, you can order that stuff, and by the time you get it 2 weeks later, it doesn't affect your ability to move forward with the project. If you know that you're running low on something, you can restock it, So like XT60s, XT90s, I'll order those from Banggood. I'll order the silicone wire, the JST connectors. what are those things called? The DuPont connectors, like the 3-pin DuPont connectors that you find on like a JR style servo. I'll order those from Banggood. It's a lot of stuff where, you know, you can find it on Amazon, but the prices are a little higher. So if you order that kind of stuff in bulk and you keep a supply of it, that stuff is great to buy from Banggood. Oh, so sorry. So thanks, Ken. Jackson RC, what's up? So what I was saying is most of my models, especially my fixed wing stuff, is still in my IX-12. By popular demand on last week's show, which was the birthday episode, we were able to get enough donations where I, at the end of the show, I pre-ordered an NX10 that should be here sometime in December. I don't know what the ship date is on those, but it should be here sometime in December. And we will be doing a full review and programming series for the NX10, which is something that a lot of folks have been asking for. And what I'll tell you is, over this past weekend when I was down at the Boozers, I did play quite a bit with an NX6. And what I'll tell you guys is, if you're familiar with the DX series, especially like the later stuff, so like your DX Gen 2, you know, because the Gen 1, so like a DX8 Gen 1 and a DX8 Gen 2 ran different versions of airware. If you're not familiar with that, the airware was a little different on the Gen 1 stuff. So when they came out with like the DX9, the DX8 Gen 2, the DX6 Gen 2 and Gen 3, those all had a very similar airware, which was a lot different than like your Gen 1 DX8s and DX7s and the DX6, you know, the original DX6, all had a very different looking version of airware. Now, if you're familiar with the Gen 2 version of airware that you would see in like a DX6 Gen 3, DX8 Gen 2, DX9, DX18, DX20, the airware version that you find in the NX series radios is going to feel instantly familiar. Number one, it behaves just like a DX series radio. It's just different colors. So there's different things that you can do inside the user interface to kind of customize the color scheming and like the information that you're going to get on the home screen, because you have like a little ticker bar, you know, that can go by and show telemetry data and stuff like that, which is pretty slick. The other thing that I noticed about it is that the profile of the radio. So yes, they look different than an IX-12, but the rear profile, the gimbal positions, the switch positions, the buttons, knobs, you know, with the exception of maybe your shoulder trims, which are these trims like right on the two sides of the antenna. You know, those two trims right here are angled a little bit, so they're a little easier to get to as you're holding the radio like this. But it's effectively shaped exactly like the DX Gen 3 or Gen 2 series. You know, so like your DX6 Gen 3, your DX8, DX9, well, not the DX18 and DX20, those were shaped a little different, but like the DX9 and the IX12 even, because the IX12, if you've never held one, is exactly the same case as a DX9 with the exception of, you know, what's down here at the bottom of the screen. So if you've held a DX9 before and you know what that feels like, the NX10, all the sliders, buttons, switches, everything is in the same place. And the way that you interface with the radio is exactly the same as well, as far as the scroll wheel, the menu system, the way that you go through and adjust everything. It's going to be instantly familiar, and you're going to be able to, you know, to transition immediately from a DX series radio to an NX series radio with very little learning to do. It's great. Sorry, that was a lot of words to say. The NX series is damn near identical to the DX series with the new color screen. That's it. What is up, Dustin? I mean, there's obviously new features that go along with it, like the folding antenna. My understanding is that they've got, I don't know if it's higher power output, but apparently, you know, it's the link quality is a little better than it has been in the past. So, you know, if you're looking for a new radio, yeah, Ken Sprouse, that's something else that it doesn't have. No Android. I know a lot of folks are you know, really put off by the whole Android deal. So if you're looking though for a new radio, and you were maybe looking at a DX9, now that the DX9 is kind of yesterday's news, I think that an NX series is something that could easily be on people's radars. And if you're familiar with Spectrum, you're going to be immediately comfortable with it. You're not going to have any learning to do at all. It's great. It does have Wi-Fi, Barry Campbell, that allows you to hook the stupid thing up to the internet. I don't know why, but you can hook it up to the internet and you don't have to worry about downloading like airware updates anymore. You just connect to Wi-Fi and it'll reach out to the Spectrum servers and download and update the radio without needing to download and anything from the My Spectrum site or do anything with SD cards or any of the previous methods of updating the airware. It's much better. Ryan, if you're still in here, good to see you, man. I saw you. Dustin, what's up? What is up? Good to see you tonight. Hey, man. Y'all know I look all over the place. Come on now. I've been doing this almost a year. Home Skillet. What episode is this? 48? 48. Dang! So 4 more weeks, fellas. 4 more weeks is 1 year of Air Marshal Monday shows. Dang! So Ken Sprouse, I am getting the NX10. And absolutely not, Fred Barron. I think that the DX9 is one of the better radios that Spectrum has ever made, man. And it's, in some ways, it's a little bittersweet to see it go because I know that it's a favorite for a lot of folks that wanted something that had a little more premium features than what you got on the DX8. You know, you get a few more switches. So it's a little more customizable. You got it's just that there's a few extra features that come with the DX9 that you don't see on a DX8, and it's the same way with the new NX series. So you've got the NX6, you've got the NX8, and you've got the NX10. Yeah, the NX10 is going to have those premium features that the NX8 doesn't have. And one of the big ones now that even the DX9 did not have, and neither does the IX12, interesting enough, the NX10 has Hall effect gimbals, so they're still going to have the same feel. They're going to have the same spring tension. They're going to have the same throw. You know, they're going to have the same feel as Spectrum gimbals in general, but they're Hall effect now. So less wear and tear. You know, there's moving parts. They're still riding on bearings, but there's no potentiometers that can wear down over time, which cause a lot of gimbal failures. Is just old worn out pots. You know, they'll have problems recentering. I mean, they basically start doing the same thing that a servo does when it starts to wear out and go wonky and just move all over the place for no reason or just stop moving. You know, that's generally due to failed potentiometers. Your gimbals can do the same thing. With the Hall effect gimbals, you're not going to see that. Thank you, Joe. I'm glad to be home. It's good to be here. So if you're interested in a Spectrum radio with Hall effect gimbals, your options are NX10, IX20. So you can get an NX10 for, I think, $500, or you can get an IX20 for $1,500. Take your pick. Have a good night, Roach Coach. Good to see you. Have a good evening, sir. What else did I notice? So one downside, at least one thing that I found to be like one of those, you know, come on man moments with the NX series. For those of you guys that haven't seen one yet that may be interested in one, it wouldn't affect my recommendation to certainly look at one. I mean, I don't have one to sit here and show you yet. It should be here in the next few weeks. Exactly, Kenny, or a Radio Master for $150. But look, there's gonna be people out there that will never ever look at an OpenTX radio. In fact, I think if we were to canvass the audience right now, how many people in here would never ever consider any OpenTX radio because they just don't want to mess with OpenTX? I would assume that the answer is probably more than half. Most people are very brand loyal. You know this, Kenny. Come on now. You know, it's just like cars, man. You got people that fly Futaba. You got people that fly Spectrum. You got people that fly FR Sky. You got people that are going to fly, you know, OpenTX no matter what. It's just like people driving Chevys and Fords and Hondas and Toyotas. You know, there's some people that all they will buy is Chevrolet all the time. And for those folks, you know, maybe that's Spectrum. Spectrum is the General Motors of this hobby. And, you know, even though their products are a little more, that brand loyalty goes a long way, man. And while I can't, value, as with everything in life, the value of these radios is up to the individual. It's not up to us. I can't tell you whether or not something is a good value. That's for you to decide. I can tell you the things that I like, I can tell you the things that I don't like, and I can give you the price. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you think it's a good value. Some people are going to find that the NX10 is an incredible value because they like Spectrum and they like the support that they get from Horizon. They like the immediacy of the repairs. So when you send in a busted radio, you're getting back a fully repaired radio, fixed dang near at cost. I don't even think they charge labor. They just charge you for the parts. The service is worth money. How much it's worth is up to the user. So it's not my place to say, like, don't buy a Spectrum because they cost too much. I mean, how much value does somebody put on that? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Not for me to decide. But I like them. I like the Spectrums. You know, and that's where there's going to be differing opinions, and there's going to be folks out there that like everything. I used Futaba for years. I love Futaba radios. I've used Spectrum for years. I love them. I think they're awesome. Now that I have the Radio Master, I mean, that TX16S is fantastic. So I see all sides of the argument. But some folks don't. And that's cool. So let me get back, though, real quick to what I was saying that I think was a little bit of a miss. And we're certainly going to show it in more detail when I do, you know, my initial review of the NX10, because I know that it's got the same thing. And to me, it was like, come on, man. Like, you are putting out an electronic device in 2020. And what I thought was really kind of like, was they have a micro USB port on the back. Again, it's 2020, fellas. Like, it's USB-C. It's the day of the USB-C connector. If you're still using micro USB, and that radio is going to live for the next, I mean, how long has the DX9 been out? 5 years? I mean, that means that we're going to be waiting at least 5 years. I'm just throwing a random number out there, but I'd say it's a fair estimate. We're going to be waiting at least 5 years now for Spectrum to come out with a radio that's using USB-C. Because they released the NX series, unless they come out with like an NX Gen 2 the same way they did with the DX series. So there could be, you know, an NX6, NX8, NX10, Gen 2, or Gen 4 even. You know, because these are all what I would consider Gen 3 radios. So the next gen would be Gen 4. You know, but who's counting? I could see them doing that in like 2 or 3 years and releasing those with USB-C, but it just seems like a real miss, you know, like who's using micro USB today? What a pain in the butt connector. I'd have much rather seen USB-C, but I also don't know how far back their development cycle was. But what I can tell you is USB-C has been around from a product development standpoint for a long time now. Probably 5 or 6 years, if not more. The USB-C standard has been out, so they should have had USB available to their hardware developers when they were designing the boards for the NX series radios. I just think like that's one of those, that's my come on man comment. Like, really, guys, micro USB, like, get out of here. Put freaking USB-C in the thing. Jackson RC, good to see you, buddy. Dude, what the heck? Imperial RC Works keyboard is going crazy tonight. Anyways, guys, I am going to do some quick shout outs of our members. Where'd my keyboard go? There it is. Like, oh, I done lost my keyboard. Nope, I got it. And let's see. Because as with every week, except for last week, we got held up a little bit last week. I want to do a call out for our highest tiered members, the people that contribute the largest amount every month. And that is our sheriffs. And while we appreciate all of the members of the RC Air Marshal YouTube channel, these are the guys that get the shout out every week, in and out, on our live show for being the largest contributors to the channel every month. And we absolutely appreciate your support. And that is Flying Times, Mike SSI, Spencer Keith, Dave Kowishki, William Mergita, Joseph Ramsey, Jet Tech Don Atkins, Ken Sprouse Jr., RC Stinger, George Watts, RC Addict, and Imperial RC Works. Thank you guys all so very much for being there and helping us out with being able to continue to make this show and be able to go on trips like we did this past week. We've got a lot of really cool content coming. You know, for some of you guys that want to see the Gripen, I know that, you know, there have been some videos on how to program it. The one from James, Wesley and I produced a new or just a different programming guide on how to program the Gripen with an IX12, which should translate to a lot of radios, but I programmed Wesley's Gripen for him, and we got that on film, so that will be coming up soon on the Mary Boozer channel. And I also filmed Wesley doing the maiden flight of the Gripen, so we got some really good footage of that that's going to be coming up on the channel here soon. Some other news that will actually be revealed next week. Imperial RC Works, thank you so much, sir. I no longer am the owner of an E-Flight P-51 Mustang. I love the airplane. I love the airplane. It is beautiful, beautiful. I love the blue of the E-Flight. Look at this, Jermaine Spencer, what is up? Thank you so much, sir. So, I love the E-Flight P-51. It's amazing. It looks fantastic. I love the way it flies, but it's kind of a beast to get off the ground, and it's kind of a beast to land. Like, the ground handling of the P-51 was a little more than I want to deal with. And I didn't want the airplane to just be a hangar queen forever. Like the F-18s, I mean, these, to me, these are beautiful, man. I'm never getting rid of them. These are my babies. Them's my babies. But the P-51, it's awesome, but Wesley had something that I've talked about before, and I never even considered getting one until he brought it up. You know, because he had mentioned on Ryan's show last weekend that he wanted one of the P-51s, and I was like, you know what? I'll bring my P-51 down, and we can talk about. We can talk, like, if you want it, you know, you can check it out if you want it, you know, let's work something out. I mean, he's got a bazillion airplanes. As a lot of you guys know, if you remember from a few weeks back, and I think I've mentioned it several times, you know, I grew up on an Air Force base in the height of the Cold War, you know, with my bedroom window facing the end of the flight line, and used to watch F-15s take off all the time from as far back as my brain allows me to remember as a child. You know, I was maybe 4 years old when we moved into that house. So from 4 years old to like 9 or 10, I was watching F-15s, you know, barrel it out of that runway, going to intercept whatever was coming from Russia during the Cold War, when Russia was spying on us and we were spying on them, and, you know, all of the craziness that was happening during that span of time. You know, very late 70s and into the mid 80s, heck, even into the late 80s. So, you know, the first airplane that I ever remember just being in absolute awe of was the F-15, and I've loved it ever since. But I never really wanted one, because I heard that they didn't fly very well. But here was the thing. Wesley had one. It's already been Papa dotted. It looks beautiful. It's got a couple of minor imperfections, but he had all the parts. He just never flies it. And the fact is that I also may never fly it, but, you know, with the F-18, my time in the Navy, I have a large affection towards the F-18, and, you know, my childhood, you know, from my childhood, I have a very large affinity towards the F-15. So even if I never fly it, the F-15 will take the place of the F-22, and it will live as a piece of art for the rest of time in my house, even if I never fly it. If I do fly it and it's awesome, I do plan to put a high performance EDF unit in it, and I plan to fly it. But we're gonna have it on display out here on the table for next week's show. The other thing that we're gonna do is, he also gave me the parts. So he had a 90 millimeter F-16 that he hasn't flown because the fuselage was all messed up and he didn't want to mess with it. But he had like the new wings, new stabilizers, new everything. And he just gave me all the parts for a 90 millimeter F-16, and the only thing that we need to get it running again is a new fuselage. I mean, we're talking all the landing gear, everything except, I don't think it has an EDF unit, but I do have the ESC. So I just need an EDF unit, which it needs a high performance EDF unit in that F-16 anyway. And that's pretty much it. I think the fuse comes with everything else that I'm going to need to get that thing airworthy. So an EDF unit and a fuselage, and he just gave me all the other parts. Like, here, take all of this and buy yourself a fuselage and an EDF, and you've got a 90 millimeter F-16 for free. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. All I had to do was strip all the parts out of the fuselage that was already there. So I did have to do a little bit of work, but that's fine. Amy is not second fiddle, ever. Stop it. So I am pretty excited about the F-15, and I am pretty excited about the F-16, and the F-16 is going to be a while. I just don't have, you know, expendable funds to be spending on airplane fuselages and such, but you know, I will be getting that thing up and running at some point, maybe with an Arctic camo paint scheme, but just a traditional Arctic camo, nothing like crazy like this. Oh. And the base color of the F-16 is already the right color, you know, so I wouldn't have to like completely redo the base paint of the free wing 90mm F-16. And it is the gray one, it is not the Thunderbirds. Yeah, Mitchell Farley's not wrong, man. I literally had to rip the F-16 apart. That thing, the fuselage of the 90mm F-16 is probably, I don't even know. I don't know how many different pieces of foam it is, but the way that they have all of the extensions and the landing gear mounted, I mean, it's a heavy plane. And the way that they put it together is something else. I mean, it's got a lot of internal structure going on, you know, to make like the extensions and everything all have their own little channels, and then another piece of foam sandwiched on top of that. So it's not like you can use a go-get-'em wire to fish extensions through there. You know, they're all like molded in or glued in, you know, through channels and just layers of foam on top of foam, you know, to create different channels for everything. It's pretty crazy the way that fuselage is set up. So I'll be interested to see when I'm able to get a new fuselage for the F-16, what that thing looks like. But I'm pretty excited, you know. I have a lot of the parts for it. I still got to get, you know, the fuselage and stuff, but I like F-16s, not as much as I like F-15s, and, you know, certainly not as much as I like F-18s, but, you know, I grew my free wing collection of jets by 2, which is cool. Or at least 1.5. So, you know, we'll probably be taking the F-22 and shifting it over here, putting the F-15 behind me, and when we get the F-16, I don't know where it's going to go, but we'll find a home for it. We'll find it a home. Anyway, guys, it is getting pretty close to 10 o'clock. And I'm going to go ahead and shut her down for the night. Make sure that you come over and hang out with Gooniac here in about 20 minutes with our good friend Ray, the maker of the Gooniac Afterburner. By the way, guys, here at the Mulberry Show, we got to see a lot of folks that we all know who each other is in these chats. We see each other week after week. But something that was really cool is people that we don't see in the chats all the time, rocking Gooniac Afterburners in their airplanes. That was pretty cool to see. So, everybody, all have a great night. And Captain Photon, be ready. When that NX-10 gets here, I will box up this DX6 and get it sent to you. Good sir. Yes, it is good to be home. It's good to see everybody again. And we will see you all next week here over the next few days. I hope to have some videos starting to trickle out and really getting more videos out to you guys. You know, I've got probably 5 different flight videos, reviews that Amy and I have been working on for the past several months, and just haven't, you know, for one reason or another, haven't had the heart to finish them because of, you know, I have my reasons. But, you know, I'm going to try to get those out here. and as well as a couple of really cool videos that we've got of the gripping and my final time, you know, basically saying goodbye to the P-51. Wes did a beautiful flight of the P-51 that I was able to capture at the Mulberry Show. So we're gonna get, like I said, we probably have, I mean, I have enough content to do a video like every day, but I gotta edit them and do all my things to them. So there should be a lot of videos coming up here over the next few days. And I look forward to sharing all those with you. And we will see you all again on Air Marshal Monday next week. Again, 2 weeks from now, December 7th, be ready for the next installment of our first Monday of the month virtual fly-in on Real Flight. And the next one will be Rolling Harriers. So be ready. As always, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Look down in the description for links to our Teespring store and every other way that you can support the channel. And we will see you all next week. Have a good one, guys.